Alright, so a lot of you ADC mains out there are hating the pre-season. Not to worry, because in the next 10 minutes or so you will be saved. In this video you are going to learn the 10 best ADCs to carry with. Welcome summoners, I'm Coach Cheeks, multi-season challenger player now coach, and I'm here to guide you to the promised land. As we all know, the new items and changes are the driving forces behind what's being picked and what isn't. So the champions and I countdown are those that work best with the new version of League. We won't just be outlining the champion and why it's OP, we'll also be throwing you a couple of cheeky tips and tricks along the way to help you get started or improve on that particular marksman. Question of the day: has anyone killed a tank in the pre-season yet? Before we unveil the top 10, do not forget to check out GameLeap.com. There is no better website to learn the ins and outs of Summoner's Rift than our very own. Join thousands, that's right, thousands of others and get signed up today so you can benefit from the hundreds of challenger courses, guides and videos we have to offer. Links will be in the description and comment section. Now I'll be honest with you, AD carry is generally the hardest role to carry from because there are so many influences in your lane. Teleports, junglers, supports who don't know what day it is, global ultimates, it's a pretty hectic lane. However, there are some champions that allow you to grab your lane and the game by the scruff of the neck. And here we go, starting us off at number 10, and like the video by the way or else, we have Vayne. When you get to grips with Vayne and how she works, honestly, this champion could be number 1 on our list, so we want to help you get there. Now the reason you can hyper carry on the Night Hunter is because she works so well with the new mythic, Kraken Slayer. Every third attack deals additional true damage, and this stacks with your silver bolts. Now if you're against a team composition with 2 or more tanks, build towards Kraken Slayer so you can beat them down. Some games you don't actually need all that damage from Kraken Slayer though. You know what you need? Lifesteal and survivability. When you're going up against high damage champions like Zeds, Arkalis, Kha'Zixes, and they have a fetish for chicks who wear speed dealers, that's you, it's very hard to survive, especially if you're new to Vayne. The solution is Immortal Shield Bow. This is another AD mythic. The lifeline passive gives you a shield and extra lifesteal when you get chunked, so you can regain health ridiculously fast. To be frank, if you know your support is completely off the rails and there's no chance they even think of peeling you, Shield Bow is the optimal choice. One trick I'm going to give you for Vayne is to use your Q against structure to reset your auto attack. In lane, if you want to hard push a wave, you can hug one of the walls and Q against it to throw out quicker autos. You can do the same trick when doing dragons and barons. If you have a friend who likes playing Anivia, you can do the same with her wall. If you can't condemn an enemy against it, try tumbling into it to maximize your DPS. It's very rare, I'll admit, but hey, it's one trick that separates the best from the rest. Moving on to number 9, we have everyone's favorite redhead, Misfortune. If you don't like going through t-shirts to win games, you know, because you're sweating that much, then Misfortune is the ADC for you. You know why? Just press R, bro. Straight up. Alright, there is a bit more to it. Critical strike charts got nerfed, right, as the preseason kicked off, so naturally any AD carry that built crit lost some power. As MF though, you can actually build lethality. How good is that? Now the reason lethality unlocks your power is because your abilities are a big part of your damage output, and lethality enhances that insane damage you already have in your kit. Once you have even a serrated Dirk and land your double up on the enemy AD carry, they will lose half their HP, no cap. On top of that, this is why in teamfights MF is a real force of nature, and we ain't talking the item. One well-placed bullet time will shred the enemy health bars, and in this meta, everyone who isn't playing a tank is pretty seebs about building resistances. It's all about damage. One tip to help you land more Qs and Rs is to use your E, make it rain, to slow the enemy so it's easier to hit them. This is an interesting one and important to know. Your Q will bounce to enemies in fog, so if you think the enemy support or even jungler is sitting in a brush bot lane, try to line up your double up with a target in that direction like a minion. Not only would you chunk them, but also be aware of the danger. It might be an Alistar for example. This would be huge. Straight into the number 8 spot is Senna. Like Misfortune, Senna didn't even blink when crit got nerfed because you can build lethality and one-shot your opponents. Now, Eclipse or Duskblade, which mythic should you choose? Eclipse is objectively better. The shield, movement speed, and max health damage means you are harder to latch onto and harder to take down as well. Also, your autos and abilities do more damage into beefy tanks. The movement speed also complements your glacial augment, so you can catch up to enemies and dish out more damage. Depending on how much you like your teammates, you can also save them from the brink of death by queuing or ulting them. It's important to know that you can cast your Q, Piercing Darkness, on targets such as allied minions, wards, honeyfruit, even towers. Most people, especially those who don't play Senna, don't know these exist, so you will catch them off guard. Another neat trick is that you can Q flash. As the animation starts for your Q, press flash in the desired direction and your Q will still be sent out to that original location. This is extremely effective against abilities that pose a massive threat to you, like Thresh's death sentence. If you're hella keen to kill an enemy and a random Thresh appears ready to hook you, use this to dodge that threat while still taking down your target. Arcane shifting into our number 7 spot, how did you guess? It's Ezreal. Now Ezreal has seen a lot more play recently and is definitely an AD carry you can start playing to blow up the enemy nexus. The main reason you can carry on Ezreal is because of the synergy you have with the mythic Divine Sunderer. It's a massive 33 gold cheaper than Trinity Force, but seriously, in exchange for attack speed you gain more AD, health and ability haste. The Spellblade passive on Sunderer is also better than the one on Triforce. Every Q you throw out, you deal an additional 10% max health damage, which is nuts. This has a 1.5 second cooldown, so every time you throw out a Q, it is landing with this effect attached to it. Bye-bye tanks and anyone with health items. That's not all. The mythic passive also helps you heaps because it empowers your other legendary items with 5% armor and magic penetration. This works incredibly well with your mixed damage. A tip for all you Ezreals eating into crowd control and throwing, when your Essence Flux connects with an enemy champion, that's your W, you don't have to arcane shift onto their feet to proc the damage. The range is a little shorter than your auto attack radius, so just E in front of you and you're sweet. Holding the number 6 spot and flying under the radar is Tristana. Yes, as Tristana your build revolves around critical strike chance and this got nerfed, but you still pack enough power in your kit to hard carry games. Early on you have massive all-in potential. Rocket jump onto the enemy AD carry and while you are mid-air you can cast your explosive charge. Now your charge's damage is increased the more you damage that target with auto attacks and abilities, so as soon as you land press Q for that extra attack speed and unleash with some basic attacks, and if you're level 6, finish them off with your Buster Shot. If you don't get going in the early game, not to worry because Draw a Bead is here, and your passive increases your range each time you level up. At level 18 you have the highest base attack range in the game. You will be at such a safe distance from enemy threats that you don't have to rely on your teammates to help you because no enemy can get close to you. We now move into our top 5, now it's getting really interesting. Kicking off our final 5 picks is Lucian. Lucian is the best early game ADC of the bunch and you are largely responsible for how your score looks at the end of a game. You don't have to hope your support is on the same page because you can dominate the early lane without them. Lucian actually featured on our mid lane list for the best carry champions and the same reasons carry over to bot lane loose. As you're about to hit level 2 in lane, control and E and dash into the enemy AD carry. Now when you dash, make sure you don't dash towards the enemy support, this would be suicide. Even if you have a level advantage, if that support is a set for example, you will waste your mini lead and flame me for recommending loose, so angle your E towards that primary target and away from the threat. If you have ever played Lucian, I'm sure you're aware that after using an ability, your next auto attack fires out another one. This is your passive and is the foundation of your DPS. So after using an ability, you always want to auto attack and proc Light Slinger. You never want to just be Eing and Qing at the same time. If your support decides to be a support and help you out in these early game trades, then you will always win laners loose, just yeah, don't turn headbutt mode on. Coming in hot at number 4 on this prestigious list is Samira. When you can actually pick her, you are one of the most infuriating AD carries to play against because you are more than just an ADC. You are the ultimate button smasher. Now it's more intricate than that, don't worry, we'll get into that in just a second. In your games, your mythic is Shield Bearer and you want to follow that up with a Bloodthirster and Infinity Edge. These 3 items are ridiculous. AD, crit, and most importantly, lifesteal. The key to carrying on Samira is playing around your style stacks. Each time you damage an enemy champion with a different attack or ability to the last, this adds a style stack. For example, a simple auto Q auto would grant 3 stacks of style. This is important because you can only use your ultimate when you have 6 style stacks. Your ultimate Inferno trigger is the one where you spin around one-shotting everyone close to you and you heal back to full HP at the same time. This is one of the main reasons Samira is the most bad champ. Start styling on enemies with the Desert Rose, you have huge carry potential. We're down to the top 3 and standing on the lower step of the podium is Jhin. Jhin has been the best overall ADC thus far in the preseason and his carry potential as a result is very high. First off, as Jhin, you don't rely on crit as much as most other marksmen. You can rush straight into lethality and start detonating your opponents. Spend your gold on building Eclipse first, then the Collector, and then invest in either Ghostblade or Edge of Night depending on the game. Now, another reason why you can hard carry games is because you don't need your teammates to start fights on your behalf. You can be the setup, and it starts with your Deadly Flourish route and ends with your Curtain Call damage and slow. In lane, try to time your W with your Dancing Grenade. The best Jhins excel at coordinating the 4th bounce with their W, and this catches many players unaware. If your support has any of their brain cells working, they will see the opportunity you've created and get their head in the fray. Even if they don't, you damage the enemy AD carry for free, and next time you do it, especially with a bunch of lethality. The champion lucky enough to hold the number 2 spot, the second best ADC to carry with, is Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa. And this is an exciting one, and the reason I say that is because of your synergy with Duskblade. Yes, you heard me correctly. Most of you are no doubt building crit and might even dabble into a bit of AP, but it's time to be red hot. Build Duskblade first. This changes your identity. You are now an assassin, and let's be real, in the current meta that's what you want. You don't have to sit in lane 24/7 hoping your support doesn't run it down. You can roam mid and into the enemy jungle in the early game, and as the game progresses, you can pick off enemy squishies with your mobility and burst damage. You know what else is fried about Duskblade and Kai'Sa? It extends your supercharge invis. So after you get a kill or assist, just press E and you are invis for longer. You are slippery enough as you are, this makes you even harder to kill. The big cuck to Duskblade Assassin Kai'Sa though is damage and crowd control. You are extremely squishy, and if you get hit by any form of CC or damage, you are most likely dead. So one tip is to save your E for those key abilities. It's crucial to know as well that when you E, you cannot auto attack. You have to throw in an auto to proc Duskblade's Night Stalker damage and slow. So if you use supercharge while trying to blow someone up, you miss out on a big chunk of damage. Save your E for when the enemy champion looks to retaliate after you auto attack them. It's time. Drum roll please. The best AD carry, the one you are going to carry the most games with, is Draven. You could go the standard critical strike lifesteal build like most, but if you want to snowball out of control and win games before you have to rely on your teammates' cooldowns and mental capacity, Lethality Draven is the fattest of them all. You hit like a truck, and not one of those small ones either. I'm talking like a big 18 wheeler bruh. Rush the Mythic Eclipse and build the Collector straight after. You spike a lot earlier because of the lethality, and no enemy AD carry in their right mind will get close to you. Fun fact, in lower levels of play, they will. So your kills become easier and easier. One of the main reasons Draven is boasting the top spot is because when you play the perfect executioner, you are a force even at level 1. Your spinning axe makes you the most deadly marksman off the rip, and to make full use of your power, you have to be able to kite in between throwing axes. It's essential to understand that your axe rebounds to where you are facing as it hits that target. For example, if you face to the left as the axe hits, it lands to the left. If you face to the right, it lands to the right. Catching your axes is the mechanic any good Draven player has down pat, so get in the practice tool and get swinging. That was our countdown, guys. Before I go, I'm going to tell you one more time, GameLeap.com. Do not close your browser, you listening, without checking out our site. Thousands have already signed up, so why don't you? You will have no regrets. The best site going around, hands down. This has been Coach Eggs, and until next time, peace.